Services. And it is really an honor to be here with all of you today as we kick off Mental Health Awareness Month. Thank you for taking this time. Today, we are going to hear from some passionate advocates for mental health. People who are committed to not just supporting individuals with mental illness, but speaking openly about their experiences and advocating for people who struggle with their mental health. To those of you who will be sharing your story today or anywhere over the next few weeks, thank you. Thank you for your tireless efforts to break down barriers for those who are suffering from mental illness. The work that you do facilitates an open dialogue and fights the taboo that has surrounded mental health for far too long. Mental illness is not always visible, but it affects Pennsylvanians from all walks of life. This invisibility can make people feel isolated and unable to share their experiences. 1 in 5 adults live with mental illness, but that silence perpetuates the stigma that often prevents people from being open about their experiences and seeking the help that they need. That silence isolates people, holds them back from their full potential, and can make them question the validity of their feelings and their worth. If you live with a mental illness, please know that your feelings are valid. You are not limited by any challenges that you face. Your experiences make you strong, but when you need them, help and supports are available. At this time, I am honored to present the Dennis Marion Impact Award to a deserving public servant whose work has helped improve service delivery in Pennsylvania's behavioral health system. The Dennis Marion Impact Award was established in 2017 by the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services and our partners to honor Dennis Marion's commitment to public service throughout his career. Dennis served Cumberland County, Pennsylvania for 31 years in various positions, including County Administrator, Director of the Drug and Alcohol Commission, and Director of the Office of Mental Health and Intellectual Disabilities. Dennis subsequently served as Deputy Secretary of DHS's Office of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services from 2013 to 2017. Dennis passed away unexpectedly on March 29, 2017. But we honor his legacy, his passion for public service, and commitment to his work through this award. The Dennis Marion Impact Award recognizes outstanding and meritorious achievement in working for state or local government, encourages the highest standards of performance in Pennsylvania's public sector, and highlights public awareness of the value of public service and its impact on the behavioral health and quality of life of individuals and communities. Dennis knew that his work did not stop at the boundaries of his duties in any single county or agency. And the Dennis Marion Impact Award recognizes strong performers who bridge missions, work collaboratively, and drive towards a single goal of excellence in public service. This year's award recipient's passion and commitment are deeply rooted in his belief in the resiliency of communities and the responsibility of government to work in partnership with individuals, families, service organizations, and the general public to build inclusive communities where we can all thrive. He began his career in 1990 as a social worker, supervisor, and then manager with the Bucks County Department of Children and Youth. With the experience he gained through the first 20 years of his career, he returned to Bucks County in 2014 to serve in his current position as the director of the Bucks County Division of Housing and Human Services. I am proud to present the 2019 Dennis Marion Impact Award to Jonathan Ruth.
Thank you very much, Secretary Miller. I just want to echo the sentiments about Dennis Marion. I didn't know Dennis, but since finding out I had won the award, I did speak to some people who knew him, and he was truly a visionary man who really understood and appreciated the needs of the community and the idea that mental health impacts housing and employment and drug and alcohol, and really try to weave all those things together. As I know Secretary Miller, you are now, we all are trying to serve and meet the generative needs of our communities. I want to just take a moment to thank my staff. Donna Bell, my mental health administrator, is here, but really I'm a little embarrassed because it should have been me nominating them, as so much great work is done in Bucks County and in all of our communities. So thank you for this honor today. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much. So I now have the privilege of introducing my colleague who has spent much of her career focused on behavioral health issues, Secretary of Health, Dr. Rachel Levine.
Thank you, Secretary Miller, and congratulations on your award. It's really an honor to be here and to discuss the critically important role that mental health plays in an individual's overall health. So, as Secretary Miller mentioned, my field is in pediatrics and adolescent medicine, and I really had, before I came to this position, spent 20 years at the Penn State Hershey Medical Center running their adolescent medicine program for troubled teenagers, as well as their eating disorder program for the treatment and evaluation and treatment of children, teens, and young adults with anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa and related illnesses. Really, my whole career has been based upon that intersection between traditional medical issues and behavioral health issues. You know, the mind and the body are connected. Who would have thought that? And so that intersection is absolutely so important. We see that today as well in facing substance abuse issues and the opioid crisis. Many of the individuals with the disease of addiction also suffer from other mental health issues. They have comorbidities, dual diagnosis. And so mental health is such an important aspect of public health and individuals' health. So I really would just like to close in saying that it's really so important for individuals who might suffer from mental health issues to seek help. Secretary Miller and the Department of Human Services and SAMHSA have spent so much time, including, of course, Dennis, expanding access to mental health services throughout Pennsylvania. It is absolutely not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength to seek help. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Secretary Miller and Dr. Levine for those words. My name's Valerie Vicari, and I'm the Acting Deputy Secretary for the Pennsylvania Office of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. Jonathan, congratulations on the award. Dennis would have been very proud. Mental health is the foundation for our emotions, relationships, personal and physical well-being, and our self-esteem. Some people find it difficult to talk about mental health, but we are all here to support that voices should be heard, and that talking about mental health is okay. Research shows that mental illness are common in the United States, affecting tens of millions of people every year. Nearly 1 in 5 adults live with a mental illness, so chances are someone that you know, someone that you love, has mental illness. It does not discriminate. It can affect anyone regardless of your age, social status, gender, race, or ethnicity. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States, and in 2017, over 47,000 Americans died by suicide. On average, there are 129 suicides per day. While these statistics may be overwhelming, I believe that people can and do recover, and that with our wealth of services, we provide a strong foundation in Pennsylvania. Mental illness is treatable. The majority of individuals with mental illness continue to live fully every day. To that end, the Office of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services has several initiatives focused on suicide prevention across the Commonwealth. In 2014, OMSAS received a 5-year federal grant focused on youth suicide prevention. Through Through this grant, over 17,000 adults have been trained in how to better recognize the warning signs of suicide in youth and how to respond and intervene. I am so pleased to share that over 15,000 youth have reached out and have been benefited from this service. SAMHSA provides funding and support to Prevent Suicide PA, the statewide suicide prevention organization. This organization provides education and resources related to mental health and suicide. Prevent Suicide PA, thank you for all that you do. In partnership with Prevent Suicide PA, SAMHSA has developed a Suicide Prevention Online Learning Center. This free training resource offers courses for educators, mental health professionals, healthcare providers, and the general community. There have been over 5,000 registered users since the launch of the website in 2017. It is our goal to ensure people have access to services and supports when and where needed. On Friday, I was at the Capacity Building Institute for the wrap-up of the 9-month Learning Collaborative. This is our 3rd year of partnering with our Office of Developmental Program Partner. It's a wonderful cross-training opportunity for all levels of support in both systems. The participants had the opportunity to share how they would incorporate what they had learned over the past 9 months in their work. During the wrap-up, one of the participants said, "I'm going to be that person. I'm going to be that person who makes a difference in the lives of those that I care for." We should all strive to be that person. That person who stomps out stigma. That person who helps someone in a crisis situation, recognizing the staggering statistics on death by suicide nationally, in our Commonwealth, and in our communities. That person who says no more bullying of our most vulnerable population. And that person who supports recovery and believes that people with mental illness can and do recover. In closing, the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services and the Office of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services is pleased to announce that May has officially been proclaimed Mental Health Awareness Month. Please join us as we take this opportunity to shine a spotlight on the importance of caring for mental health. And remember to always be that person. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Secretary Miller. And thank you all very much for being here. Jonathan, congratulations on your award. My name is Mike Schlossberg. I'm a state representative from the 132nd Legislative District. I have the honor of serving the people of the city of Allentown and South Whitehall Township. And I am here today in a few capacities, the primary of which is that I am the co-founder and co-chair of the House Mental Health Caucus, which is a bipartisan group of members dedicated towards getting out information and raising awareness for mental health. Now, the reason I'm here in that role is twofold. First, we all know, I don't think I need to convince any of you about the importance of mental illness, that nearly 1 in 5 Americans actively suffer from some sort of mental illness over the course of their lives. Or right now, at this moment, but 1 in 2 will over the course of their lives. That suicide rates are at 50-year highs, that the highest spike is among the youngest generations of Pennsylvanians and Americans like those of you who are behind me. But I'm also here because mental illness is something that affects me on a very personal level. Now, if you've ever heard me speak before, I apologize, I'm probably getting a little bit repetitive. But I speak not only as a state representative, but also one of those 1 in 5. I've had depression and anxiety, diagnosed generalized anxiety disorder and major depressive disorder for about half my life. I've been in and out of therapy as needed. I take medication every day, have since I was 18, and probably will for the rest of my life. About 4 years ago, after the suicide of Robin Williams, I realized that more people had to talk about this issue. That we needed people to stand up and say, "Me too." Now, in talking about my own struggles, I discovered that you could actually do something really effective with your personal story. You can inspire people to embrace theirs, to tell their story, and to seek the help that they need and that they deserve. A few hours ago, I met with a large chunk of the men and women behind me, and we talked about the need to tell your story. Now, May has been declared once again Mental Health Awareness Day, but a resolution is nice, but it's just words on paper. It's meaningless unless you are the one who says that's me, or that's my family, that's someone I love, and that there's no shame in that. I am walking proof, and there are people better than me and smarter than me and more passionate than me who can say even more than me on this issue. But I am walking proof that you can lead a good life with mental illness. And there's so many of you behind me who will do that proof one day as well. So if you hear nothing else that I say, and I don't blame you one bit, but if you hear nothing else that I say, please tell your story, embrace your truth. And I promise you will be rewarded for it, not only for what it does to yourself, but how you can inspire other people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative Schlossberg, and thank you, Secretary Miller, Dr. Levine, Deputy Secretary Vicari, and of course, again, to my good friend and former colleague, Representative Mike Schlossberg, for coming together to highlight an important issue that's facing our Commonwealth. And I can tell you that addressing mental health challenges at every age is not a partisan issue. Last year, I was so pleased to partner with Representative Schlossberg to assist in pushing through Act 110, a new law that requires higher education to make our mental health crisis into a top priority on our college campuses. In fact, Representative Schlossberg and I toured the Center for Collegiate Mental Health at Penn State University, and we met with university leaders at the end of last year to get a first-hand look at how our state's largest university is addressing this problem. And to say that we were overwhelmed, well, that's an understatement. Penn State has found that as they continue to expand their services for students dealing with mental health challenges on campus, that they are reaching maximum capacity almost instantly. We have a real problem that is adversely affecting our college students ages 18 through 22, and it's only getting worse. And I look at my own Senate district. I have the great honor of representing the 28th Senatorial District, and I don't think I even introduced myself, did I?
That's
I didn't. So I'm Kristen Phillips Hill, and I'm State Senator from the 28th District in York County. And what I can tell you about York County is that we had 92 suicides in the last year alone, and it's at an all-time high. But to the mother or the father, the sibling, the grandparent, or other relative, loved one, it's not a number. It's a person that they care about whose life was cut short too soon. And unfortunately, more and more individuals, especially younger children, hide their problems until it reaches that crisis stage. And thanks to the investment at Penn State and other areas of higher education, we're able to address it before it's too late. But we can and we must do more. Today and this week, but more importantly, every day should be Mental Health Awareness Day. People should not be afraid to know where or when to ask for help. And something has to change. We have to stop stigmatizing mental health challenges, and we have to drop the labels. Mental health is as serious as physical health. And no one should be afraid to talk about how they're coping with a problem, or the loss of a loved one, or the loss of a job, or anything else that's challenging them. And with the leadership of Secretary Miller, Dr. Levine, Representative Schlossberg in the House, along with many others in this building, I believe we can address those challenges of our next generation. We should not be sending our children off to college for their mental health challenges to peak and become the problem of our universities. And through our conversations with various stakeholders, we have seen that the next step is building resiliency for children at an earlier age, so that we address this problem sooner rather than later, because our future counts on it. And with my esteemed colleagues who are here today, I know we can make this a priority to provide the tools, the help, the resiliency that the next generation needs. Thank you so very much.
Hello. My name is Ruth Fox. I'm the CEO of Allegheny Family Network, and I would just like to take a moment and thank Secretary Miller, Secretary Bell. I'd like to thank you, and then from the Department of Health, and especially Representative you for sharing your story. Thank you so much. And also, I would like to thank Mark Durgan from the PA Care Partnership for inviting me to be here today. I'd also like to do a shout out real quick to Representative Ed Gainey and Representative Dan Miller, who really support Allegheny Family Network in many ways to promote and hear the voice of parents raising children with special needs. I'm one of those parents, and I'm really pleased to be here. I would like to send a special thank you to Senator Robert Casey from Pennsylvania, who got the Grandparents Raising Grandchildren bill passed last year, and we're really excited about that. So just to tell you a little bit about Allegheny Family Network, we're a family-run organization, and that means that everybody who works for us is a parent or caregiver who has raised a child or is raising a child with a mental health or behavioral need. That gives us lived experience. We know what it's like to raise a child, which is key in being a family peer support specialist. And also for the supervisors of family peer support specialists to have that lived experience is crucial. AFN currently is serving over 400 families with one-on-one support every month in Allegheny County with family support. And we're also, with trainings, events, focus groups, serving about 550 families. And we're doing it with our own lived experience and a lot of training, coaching from our supervisory staff. It's wonderful, and so many of my staff say, where was family support when I was raising my children? It's really nice to have that peer-to-peer support who really understand what parents are going through. But AFN educates their support partners and educates their parents in understanding their child's concerns, increasing their awareness of mental health challenges, and their rights as parents. They begin using their family voice to advocate in a child serving system, including mental health, CYF, juvenile justice, and education for their child. What is advocacy exactly? It's important and means that we're raising awareness of mental health issues and ensuring that mental health is on the local, state, and national agenda in government. Advocacy can lead to improvements in policies, legislation, and service development. Parents advocate daily for their children and tirelessly. Thank you to the Office of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services for supporting the certification of Family Peer Support Specialists. I know it's not there yet, but it's in the works. We're excited. The next area of mental health awareness brings attention to stigma. Reducing stigma. Parents and families go through a lot. Stigma erodes confidence that mental illnesses are real and treatable health conditions. We have allowed stigma to erect barriers around effective treatment and recovery. Sometimes children have mental health issues and parents don't want that stigma on them the rest of their life. And so they'll, it'll prevent treatment and all that. It's tough. It is time to take those barriers down. Some of the ways to break down those barriers are family peer support specialists that can help parents who isolate and try to be alone because they're kind of ashamed or they think people aren't going to be accepting. through educating the parents and through empathy, understanding what they're going through. Also, they can help parents not accept any blaming and shaming that happens a lot. So the family support can help them through not to accept shaming and blaming through choosing empowerment and choosing confidence. We help not to be stereotyped through advocating and equality between physical and mental health. Through talking openly about what's going on with your child. I know for myself, raising my children, and now I'm a grandparent raising 2 grandchildren, and my one grandchild has very serious mental health issues, so I'm on a journey again. And so, you know, being able to talk about it openly to someone who gets it and understands and isn't going to put any judgment on you is so refreshing. Together, we can all break down the barriers of stigma. I found a quote, and it's an anonymous person, but it says, and this is from a child, it says, "Do not confuse my bad days as a sign of weakness. Those are actually days I am fighting my hardest." And parents fight hard for their children. We see it every day. So I just want to say, being a parent of a child, we have lots of services for children. We need all those services out there. We need all the providers. Even though we're advocating, we need our providers to help us with our children. But I'm so glad that family support is around in the state of Pennsylvania to be able to help the parent get through everything they need to go through with their child. Just one last thing I want to mention, that AFN received the SAMHSA Grant Award for the Statewide Family Network. And I would like to introduce just real quickly, I'll point to her, the PA Family Alliance for Children's Service, which is our statewide project. The project director, right there with the camera, is Christine Paternoster, and she's doing a great job. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donnell Brown, and I'm a certified peer and recovery specialist. I'm also a member of PMHCA. I'd like to thank Lynn and Zach for inviting me to speak today. PMHCA is the Pennsylvania Mental Health Consumers Association. I also serve on our state's Mental Health Planning Council, and I'm on our steering committee for Perform Care, which is our behavioral health managed care entity. Please excuse me, I'm just going to say this right out. I know that speech professors always say, don't tell. I'm nervous, so just bear with me. March 2007 was my last suicide attempt. And for 15 years before that, I lived in tortured silence, conflicted if I should live or die. The road to recovery has not been easy. In fact, I often self-medicated to disguise the mental anguish and physical discomfort I felt every day. But it became a lot easier with the support of therapists, case managers, and most importantly, with the help of my peers who are on their own recovery journey. In the spring of 1999, I entered campus counseling services at Messiah College because I could no longer white-knuckle it through life. As I felt myself moving closer to the thought that the world would be better off without me here, the universe answered back by showing me a door through which I could cope with my major depression depression, my anxiety, and hopelessness. When I walked through this door that the universe so graciously showed me, the room was filled with a multitude of community behavioral health options. Through our county's case management unit, I was introduced to the Dolphin Clubhouse. Some of you probably don't even know it, because sadly, it was taken away from us during the Corbett administration. That's a little dig. The Dolphin Clubhouse was a place where I could go, socialize with my peers who have similar struggles, and explore different paths towards my own well-being. It was at the Dolphin Clubhouse that I learned that I could be the architect of my own recovery, and that I didn't have to acquiesce to the dictates of doctors who really didn't know me at all. Maybe 15 minutes once a month for a med checkup. After socializing and being at the clubhouse and working with my peers, I felt confident to advocate for myself and say, no, doc, that medication doesn't work well for me. I'd like to try something else. Or I felt comfortable in deciding for myself, or to decide to try other methods of wellness, like meditation, visualization, movement therapy, music therapy, gardening, and a myriad of other alternative methods to wellness. It was at the clubhouse that I was introduced to WRAP, Wellness Recovery Action Plan, that I use still today. Imagine that. I could write my own mental health plan by examining myself, by being introspective. I could examine what it looks like, what does it look like when I'm well, and make a plan for myself to feel better when I'm not doing so well. How empowering is that? These community-based programs are worth championing and certainly worth funding because they save lives. They saved mine. The journey has been long, and on several occasions I thought society had given up on me. When I was sent to Dauphin County Prison instead of getting help in the community for my mental health challenges. When I had to navigate the many systems that is bestowed upon us justice-involved individuals, also trying to recover from our mental health challenges. The road isn't straight at all. In fact, it's windy as heck. There are lots of stops and restarts and having to get off the exit to go back the other way. But with a strong support system, a few tools, and champions of recovery like you working to make sure that community-based services are available to all those who deserve it, all those who can benefit from it. All you really have to do is get out of our way, because we do recover. Today, I am the proud mother of a 12-year-old daughter who's the light of my life and well cared for. I have a career helping people to overcome all sorts of daily challenges, from social isolation to food insecurity through community gardening projects, to helping people to create livable, safe, thriving communities through Block Leader initiatives. But most important thing today is that I look forward to living my best life every day. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kaitlyn Arrow, and I am a 17-year-old from Central York High School in York County, Pennsylvania. I am so grateful to have this opportunity to speak here today and advocate for mental health awareness and explain why it's better when we work together, because there truly is strength in numbers. My story begins in 4th grade when I began to struggle with symptoms of depression. I would constantly tell myself that I was worthless, that no one wanted to be around me. And from 6th to 8th grade, I told myself that it would be better for everyone if I just didn't exist. And in April of my 8th grade year, I tried to make that happen. Now, here I am, a little over 4 years later, speaking in front of you, representing youth from all across Pennsylvania. But it's because there were people in my life working together to help me get what I needed in order to address my mental health issues and to flourish where I am today. In Pennsylvania, suicide is the second leading cause of death for youth and young adults from ages 15 to 34. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention across the nation, 16% of students reported seriously considering suicide, 13% reported creating a plan, and 18% reported trying to take their own life in the past year. The CDC also found that about 157,000 youth from ages 10 to 24 are treated in hospitals across the nation for self-inflicting injuries every year. I don't know about you, but I would call that an epidemic. The fact that there are so many young people, many of them who haven't even graduated high school, thinking that they have nothing more to live for, well, it's a tragedy. Now, I know that many of you are aware of these devastating statistics and know that we need to do something about it. And that's why you're here. Many of you probably know a youth who is currently struggling with mental health issues. And some of you will probably know a youth who will struggle with one in the future. In fact, the National Alliance on Mental Illness found that half of all lifetime cases of mental illnesses begin by the age of 14 and 75% by the age of 24. I started experiencing signs of depression at age 9, and I contemplated suicide by the age of 11. I know that hearing all of these statistics can make you feel hopeless, but I want to encourage you by sharing the many things that we all can do to help. Schools have become much more aware of the severity of this epidemic and are putting more and more things in place to help these students. From in-school therapists to enhancing our health curriculum to include more about mental health, Pennsylvania is taking strides to help our youth with mental health issues within the school system. But our education system cannot do it all on its own. The most important thing for a youth struggling with their mental health is to have a strong support system. I know that I would not be here today without all of the wonderful people who helped me get the treatment and care that I needed. Many of you play different roles in a teen or youth's life. From teachers, parents, family and friends, and even service providers, you have an important role in a youth's mental health journey. Unfortunately, there's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to getting youth the help that they deserve. But there are a few things that everyone can do to help. I know we hear this all the time, but communication is key. It is so important that everyone involved in a teen's life is up to date and consistently communicating between all parties. As parents, it's vital that you are emotionally available for your child. When I finally realized that I was struggling with depression, I was nervous to open up about it. Sometimes we need other people to make the first move. It's more than asking your child how they're doing. It's about the relationship between you and your child. It means so much for a child to feel safe enough to talk to their parents or to another adult in their life. Unfortunately, the majority of teens struggling don't feel that way. I'm constantly hearing that teens think that their parents will judge them for their thoughts, minimize their feelings and experiences, or even refuse to believe them. Even if your child isn't currently experiencing mental health issues, fostering a supportive relationship with your child will help them feel confident enough to talk to you in the future with the things that they are struggling with. The next step is to communicate with the other adults in your child's life. After I told my mom about my depression, she immediately contacted all of my teachers. Throughout my 7th and 8th grade year, they were able to check in with me and keep track of how I was doing. It's because of the information from my teachers that the doctors were finally able to get an accurate diagnosis for me. My mom was in constant communication with my teachers, guidance counselor, psychiatrist, and mental health counselor. Which leads me to the next step, that it is vital in a youth's mental health journey, which is getting them connected to professionals who can treat them. While it is hard to navigate the mental health system at times, there are so many people that can help you get connected with the right place. Schools are a great place to start. Many schools have an in-school therapist who can provide therapy while the youth is in school, or they can help direct you to another outside agency. You can also use resources like the National Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration's website or the Pennsylvania 211 database. These websites can help direct you to treatment facilities near you. It's also important for students to look out for one another and lessen the stigma of mental illness for our peers. It's so important for our friends to watch out for each other when it comes to mental health. Sometimes it's hard for the individual to recognize the signs themselves, so it's important for us to look out for each other. We need to become more comfortable with talking to trusted adults about some of the issues our friends are facing when it comes to mental health. While it may seem hopeless to help youth who are struggling with mental health issues, I know that there is hope. I am proof that there is hope. We can all help those who are struggling if we all work as a team to create a strong support system for our youth and also ourselves. We will always be better together. Thank you so much.
Here. Can we get another round of applause for all our speakers? These stories are not always easy to share, but visibility and dialogue is critical to helping people know that they are never alone. Every Pennsylvanian can make a difference to help speak out and help end the stigma that surrounds mental illness. By sharing greater public awareness about mental wellness, we can positively transform attitudes about and towards people with mental health conditions, making it easier for people to seek help and be supported. I'd just like to leave you with one last thought. I want to challenge you all to treat one another with respect and be cognizant of others' mental health, not just throughout the month of May, but every day. Awareness must not begin and end in a month. We must recognize and support our families, our peers, and ourselves every day. Every day we face different challenges, stressors, and triggers. And some days are harder than others. But every day is a new opportunity to be a support and be a resource, even if it's something as small as asking someone if they're doing okay. Thank you again for joining us today.